Hey guys, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name's Tanya, and the reason I don't have on the same clothes as I do in the video is it's several days after I shot the video for this particular recipe, and I'm realizing now that I'm sitting down trying to put the video pieces together for my husband because he does all the editing, I didn't have an intro to this, so you don't even know what we're making in the video. So I want to tell you what it is. This is macaroni and cheese soup, and it takes about 30 minutes from start to finish. It has vegetables in it. If your kids or somebody that you are feeding does not, they don't think they like vegetables, then just chop them up, puree them, do whatever you can after they get cooked. Cook them in something separate and then add to it after it's all pureed. Throw some vegetable baby food in there if you need to. But this is really a good soup. It's one of those quick things to make when you think, I want something really good for lunch, but I want something warm and filling, but you don't really have a lot of time. 30 minutes start to finish, guaranteed. You'll need to grate some cheese, but really that's not a lot of effort for what a good pot of soup it is. So hope you enjoy this. You can hear the thunder in the background. I'm sitting out here in the sunroom and it's been raining all day long. So good day for getting videos put together that I apparently forgot parts to. So hope you enjoy this recipe. Thank you. All right, we're gonna see how quick we can get this soup done. Right now it's 11:38 and I've got my skillet or my saucepan, medium saucepan, not a small saucepan, but a medium saucepan. Have it heating up. Putting 2 pints of homemade chicken bone broth in there. You can use canned or prepackaged chicken stock. I would encourage you to use something without anything artificial, or especially some MSG in it. That just kind of gives some adverse reaction to it. Okay, this is, like I said, mac and cheese soup in no time is what I've titled it in my cookbook. So we're going to heat this up to boiling, and then we're going to put 3/4 of a cup of pasta in there. And this little pasta I have, it's called ditalini, and it's teeny tiny. I'm guessing you can see that. But anyway, only 3/4 of a cup of that. So as soon as this heats up, and it shouldn't take much time, we're going to put that pasta in there. For right now, I'm going to cut up enough vegetables to make 3 cups. Now this is fresh vegetables, you can use frozen vegetables, that's not an issue. So we're just going to cut up enough to where it makes 3 cups. I'm going to take and brush these carrots off just because they have those little roots growing out from them. And my doggies are at my feet waiting to get the pieces of carrot when I throw them to them. And sometimes they miss. So if your family likes chunky vegetables, then by all means leave them in bigger chunks. If your family is not fond of texture of vegetables, or for some reason just doesn't like vegetables, I'm not sure why, but feel free to grate these or puree them, whatever you need to do, but you're going to be cooking these anyway, so they're going to be softened up a lot. I try to use, normally I use carrots and broccoli. Today I'm just going to add some celery to it because celery just gives a good flavor to things. I am not a huge fan at all of the texture of celery, but I do like the taste of it, so I'm going to add just enough to get that taste of celery in there. Pick off any leaves that might be discolored. But again, these are all going to be cooked until they're softened, so don't worry about there being that crunch to it. Not going to be any crunch in mine anyway. This is one of those soups, I think I mentioned it earlier, that is perfect for when your kids are standing at your feet going, I'm hungry, and you think, not another chicken nugget, please. But you want to get vegetables in them, and this does not take long at all. I think I made this in 25 minutes the other day. I just made it the other day, and once I made it, I thought, why didn't I turn the camera on? And there's probably a good reason for it, but I can't remember what it was right offhand now.
fresh broccoli that I'd bought the other day. I love buying organic broccoli, but usually that's just so big that I normally use it for at least 2 different dishes of some sort. I started to make broccoli cheese soup, and then I remembered the mac and cheese soup in no time, and that was an easy decision for me. I think somebody came to our house over the weekend and we didn't realize they were coming, so it was nice to be able to have a bowl of soup ready in about 30 minutes, and they were hungry. I knew they were traveling and didn't have didn't eat before they got here, so that was nice to be able to share that with them, and they enjoyed it too. Like I said, you're going to need about 3 cups. It's not an exact measurement, but just try to get somewhere between 2 and 3. All right, this is starting to come to a boil. I'm going to put my pasta in there. Let's see which spoon to use. We're going to put our vegetables in there too. They're going to cook along with the pasta. So there's not going to be any draining. Unlike when you normally make macaroni and cheese or anything like that, you got to drain your pasta once you cook it. You're not going to drain it because it's cooking in that bone broth, and that's going to have so much flavor to it, and it has just the right amount for that much pasta and this much vegetables, and it's not going to be too watery, it's not going to be too thick. It's going to be, as Goldilocks says, it's going to be just right. Some of these pieces of broccoli are huge, but that's okay. I actually like big pieces of broccoli in mine, and my husband never complains about the size of the vegetables, so we won't worry too much about that. Get another carrot and put in there. You want some of your carrot pieces to be as uniform. Well, you want your carrot piece, not some of them, but you want your carrot pieces to be as uniformly the same size as you can get them, just for the sake of, you don't want to think that they're all cooked until soft and then you're picking up a small piece, and of course it's cooked all the way through, but the bigger pieces might not be cooked all the way through. So if you're going to test a piece and they're not all about the same size, then by all means test one of the larger pieces when you check for doneness. All right, so I have celery, carrots, and broccoli in here. I'm going to pour those in there. Put the lid on. I'm going to turn the heat down just a bit so it doesn't boil over. I still have a little bit of broccoli left. Ding dong, I can't get rid of it. I bet we'll get rid of it somehow. All right, meanwhile, I am going to be shredding or grating 2 cups of cheddar cheese, so that's about 8 ounces. My camera is sitting in front of my cabinet that my box graters are in, so I'll just use this flat grater. Just got to keep an eye on that. I hate to keep taking the lid off because then the heat escapes and it just takes that much longer for it to cook. But at the same time, I don't want it to be creeping up the side of the pan and start boiling over, because I'm normally on the other side of the kitchen when that happens. And that's where my stealth running skills come in, is for catching the boiling over pot before it goes all over the stovetop. I'm kidding about the stealth running skills. I have none of those. I don't run unless there's a clown with a bloody knife chasing me. So I'm not a runner. That's my husband's job. He's the runner. This is sharp cheddar that I'm using. You can use mild cheddar. You can use Monterey Jack if you'd like. You can use Colby Jack. You can use extra sharp cheddar. If you can hear that rain in the background, I'm not sure how clear that sound is, but we have a pipe above our vent hood, and I'm standing right next to the stovetop, of course, where the vent hood is above me. And it is raining today. It was such a pretty day yesterday, and today it turned off a little bit cool, but it is just raining like crazy out there today. Getting a good soaking, and so many places around us are so dry. State of Oklahoma is just always needing water. It could rain in the morning, and by that afternoon they could be having a drought. That's just the way it is there. But we are getting some good soaking rain today, but tomorrow it's supposed to be a pretty day again. So today is the perfect day to make this soup. Nothing like soup on a rainy day. All right, we have our cheese waiting over here. Let's see. I'm gonna need, find my measuring cup. I'm going to need 2 tablespoons of flour. Let me check this again. Turn it down. I'm going to put 2 cups of flour, just all-purpose organic flour, in this measuring cup. And I'm going to add 1.5 cups of milk to this. Now you can put your milk in there first and then put your flour in there, but then you have to whisk it and get all the lumps out. It's just easier, trust me on this one, if you put the flour in there first and then add your milk to it. And I'm just going to use a spatula to stir this with. I keep glancing back at my recipe just to make sure this is the right amount, and it is. 1.5 cups. That keeps sounding like it's crawling up the edge, so I'm over here panicking. Cup and a half of milk. I always buy whole milk. I've had friends ask me why, because they like skim milk, and that's just a preference for most people. They think they're reducing fat for a reason, I guess, but since vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, it is utilized better in the body if you have fat along with it, and whole milk has more fat than skim milk. And so I feel like maybe I'm getting more usage of that, what little vitamin D there is in the milk. I'm getting better usage of that. So if you're using skim milk for dietary reasons, then more power to you. Enjoy that milk. But if you're trying to decide which is better as far as health benefits, just my opinion, which doesn't mean a whole lot to a whole lot of people, I guess, but my opinion is if it's fat soluble, then I need the fat to get it to the parts of the body that it needs to go to. It needs all the help it can get. So that's why I use whole milk. My doggies know that I've grated cheese up here. They are like little detectives. They almost can hear the sound of cheese being grated, and they don't take their eyes off me. Little beggars. All right, when your pasta's done, your vegetables should be nice and tender. Now they're not done yet. I'm just stirring this to make sure everything's getting their fair share of time in the liquid. I don't want to be unfair to any of them. I'm going to add to this 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add just a pinch of thyme. I like thyme okay in chicken stuff, but just a little goes a long way. So I would say maybe 1/8 teaspoon of thyme. Just throw that in there. And I'm a big fan of dried sage. So I would say use, I probably have enough in here to make at least 1/2 teaspoon. So throw that in there too. Those are not necessary by any means, but they just give it a nice flavor. And then we're going to have some ground black pepper. We'll do about 1/4 teaspoon of that as well. I'm going to show y'all what I'm dealing with down here. It's my supporting team members on the floor. Okay, our pasta is almost ready. Now I have an advantage over, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, I've got 45 minutes before somebody's ready to eat. I have an advantage over you in that right now it's noon. I'm not having this until tonight. I'll just keep this on the stove and keep it warm, and then right before we eat dinner tonight, I'll reheat it. So my pasta is going to continue to cook in that heat. But if you are needing to serve this right away, be sure you cook it until your pasta is completely done. You want your vegetables to be tender, but you want that pasta to be done. I'm going to cook that. I'm probably going to give that about 3 minutes more. Okay, I think our pasta is done. Our vegetables are pretty tender. They'll get more tender as it sits there longer though. So at this point, what I'm going to do, now this milk, remember, has our flour in it that's pretty much just stirred into it. Pour that in there in a steady stream. Get any blobs of flour that's kind of settled to the bottom and just didn't get stirred in well enough. Keep your burner on. This is going to get thick in just a bit. Then we're going to add our cheese to it, and guess what? It's going to be done. It is just that quick. So actually the longest part you have really is not chopping the vegetables. Seriously, you could take a bag of frozen mixed vegetables, which have carrots, peas, corn. Some of them have red pepper in them. And dump that in here with your pasta, in with your broth, and cook that together. So when your pasta's done, everything else is ready. Then you're just going to add your flour and milk mixture after your seasonings. You put those in at some point. And then add your cheese to it, and you are done. It doesn't take too long for this to thicken back up. Okay, this is starting to bubble now. The thickening usually happens pretty quickly after it starts bubbling. Feel free to add shredded or chopped chicken or something like that to this if your family had rather have something with meat in it. And if you're vegetarian, you can always use vegetable broth instead of the chicken stock to begin with. All right, I'll turn my heat down. That's kind of going nuts. You just want it to get thick and have that flour, that raw flour taste cooked out of it. This soup is really good reheated too. I just can't say enough good things about it, as far as you can freeze it to make multiple batches, put it in the freezer in individual containers, and then thaw it and serve it later. It's just a really nice, smooth soup. And who doesn't love macaroni and cheese? I mean, seriously. Well, some people don't, I guess, but we all do. All right, that's getting pretty thick. I'm going to start putting our cheese in there. Get that cheese all melted in there. It doesn't take long. All right, so this is about the thickness that you're dealing with here, something to expect. Just a good, nice consistency. And this is mac and cheese soup in no time. That's what we call it here. But get creative, use whatever vegetables your family likes. Put meat in it if you want. Use vegetable stock if you don't want chicken stock in it. Just change things up a bit. I think you'll enjoy this. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to sharing something again with you soon. Thank you. Okay, I forgot to tell you what time it was now. It is 12:08 right now. So this basically, start to finish, not having anything prepared except for having the stock out and the pan heated up, it took right at 30 minutes. So that's what you're looking at. About 30 minutes, full pot of soup. Thanks, guys.